Hi, I'm Jennifer Summers with Hoyden Homes, and this is your market update for July 2026. This information is taken from the end of June to January 1st this year. I did not include any new construction in this data. So new construction's separate conversation, and I don't like to include those in my numbers. So this is for resale only. All across the Austin metro, it includes condos, townhomes, and single-family properties only. So the moral of the story, when I took a look at the data that just came in from the MLS a couple of days ago, the moral of the story is that buyers are still buying and that there are more buyers at this time of this year than there were at the same time last year. So that tells you that the market is enjoying an increase in productivity, so to speak. I think it's really interesting that even though this time this year we do have more inventory, the median sale price has still gone up. We've got 1.3 increase from last year. It's not a huge increase, but it is still an increase from last year. In fact, let me show you this graph here. So this is the dark line here is 2026. So obviously, if you compare this to 2025, we're doing a smidge better, right? That 1.3% better than last year, and certainly better than 2024. So the graph is definitely climbing. As I started to look at this a couple of months ago, I was a little worried because, graphs can climb for a couple of months and then, you see 1 month going down, but we're looking at a steady climb all the way from January to the end of June. Does that mean it'll climb more? I don't know. We'll see. I think that's pretty incredible considering that the interest rate is in the mid sixes. And if you calculate an average payment with a 6.5 interest rate plus taxes, it's a pretty chunky payment for a buyer. So what that says is that buyers are tolerating these higher prices, but they are certainly price sensitive. So if I were a seller, what I would say to myself is, this is not the time to overprice. I would take a look at your comparables with your realtor and price very fair. In fact, maybe even a little bit below comps, just to make sure, because I got to tell you, even though that there are buyers out there, they have a lot of inventory to choose from and they are very, very price sensitive. So if you try to overprice in a market like this, you are just going to be sitting. So if you're a seller, you're going to need to price fair or even a little bit below fair to really cause your home to sell. Because the interest rates are so high, and combine that with our taxes, you get a really unfriendly monthly payment for a buyer. So I would do that if I were a seller. If I were also a seller, you're going to have to make your product, your house, look as good as possible because you do have a little bit more inventory to compete with than you have in previous years. So your job as a seller is to price correctly with the help of your realtor and to make the product, the house, look as good as it can possibly look. I am a big fan of staging. If you need a reference for that, we're happy to give you a few references for that. It does tend to help our listings go quicker, and our company does pay for that. So if that's something that you're interested in as a seller, give us a call. We'd love to help guide you through that process. Now, on the other side, if you're a buyer, what does this mean for you? Does it mean that you're going to be able to get the house for $50,000 off, or you're going to get a deal? You are going to get a deal, but it might not be the deal that you're considering. I would say most homes sell. In fact, I don't have to say this because it's here in the data. Most buyers are finding a 2.5 or so percent discount on the list price right now. That means of the houses that you see in general, you are likely to be able to get them for 2.5% less than they're actually listed for. So to give you some real numbers on a $500,000 house, that's about 12.5 off the asking price, which can be really helpful. In addition, from what I'm seeing in the neighborhoods, sellers are still willing to offer closing costs, and I'm seeing in between $10,000 and $12,000 on average that they're willing to offer closing costs. So not only are you going to be able to save possibly on your list price, but you're also going to be able to save on your closing costs too with the right realtor that knows the averages for your area and can help you provide during your offer period data over drama, right? They're going to do all that research to help you provide that to the other agent you're negotiating with to help you have a stronger negotiation process. So in a nutshell, still a great time to be a buyer in this market. But I always say when you're a buyer, if you're not paying cash, you're buying two things. You're buying the house and you're buying the mortgage. So always shop around 2 or 3 lenders to make sure that you're getting a good price on that money, and always shop around many more than 2 or 3 houses with your realtor, which we're happy to do with you if that's something that you find yourself in the market for. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. I want to go through one more thing before I close out this call and show you the buyer demand, because the days on market are also going down. So we're seeing the days on market going down, prices going up. If you're a buyer, this might be your time to get out there. Hope this was helpful. Take care.